Hi everybody, after 6 months of hard working, we are delighted to release the new Daminion 4.5 version with more than 6 important and 30 minor improvements. Most of the features that I'm going to go through today relate to the Daminion server. So firstly, you'll find that there is a new lightweight web client which allows you access to your Daminion server to search, browse, view, and download your assets on any device, including Macs, Windows, tablets, mobiles. And this works in all Daminion server editions. Each web client requires one concurrent connection, and then the web client only works in read-only mode for now, except when it comes to managing collections and users. So firstly, let's just have a look at where we would find this on our Daminion Server Administration panel. Firstly, I'll go to the Web Access feature on the Administration menu. And this requires two steps. Basically, firstly, you have to ensure that you have your Internet Information Services up and running. And if you don't, then you will have the option here to install it from the Daminion Web Access panel. And then secondly, you need to register web access by creating a website on the server. That'll give you access to your Daminion catalog. Now, once you've done that, it's a simple matter of actually just clicking open in browser. And then you'll notice that I'm logged on already, but if you will be opening this for the first time, it'll present you with the standard username and password challenge that you can use for logging in. Yeah, so the web client gives us an exciting range of new features that are available to end users. And the first one I want to go through with you guys is just the ability to access the files directly on the disk from the web client. So if you put your mouse over any icon, you'll see that there are three actions that you can perform. The first one would be to add it to a collection. The next one would be to download it to your local computer. But then if you click on this one for the first time, you'll notice that it gives you the option to install this Daminion application launcher. So I'm just going to click on download and run through the quick installation with you. It's very straightforward. No options to really configure. And then once you've done that, you'll see that in your system tray there's a new application running. Now, I've already run this on previous occasions, so yours will probably not contain this entry here, which is what the second link would do for you. So if you download and double click on this configuration file, it'll add that entry for you onto your Daminion helper. Okay, so once you've done that and you click on this icon now, it'll give you a list of the applications that you have registered on your computer to handle this image file type. And you can choose any of these to open that file directly from its location on the server. So, for example, let's open this with my default image viewer. And there you go. You'll be working on the file directly from the web interface. Okay, you can also edit your things like the collections that your images are in by simply clicking on this icon here and adding them to an existing collection that you have on your system. Maybe I want to add another collection. Then what I would do is select create and add, and I'll give it a name, like for example pool with ocean view. And you can choose to nest it in any specific group. Let's just put it in the selects, hit add, and there we go. So now if I go and browse my collection group, let's just clear all these from out there. If I go into my selects, I'll see there we have that specific item generated for us. The web interface now also gives you the ability to administer your users. On the top here, there's an administration feature, which is very similar to the users panel that you have on the server administration panel. And if I, for example, want to create a new user, it's exactly the same process. We can just add the information in straight via the web interface. Let's make them an editor. Create, and there we go. We have a new user on the system. So just gives you the ability to do a little bit more from a remote access point of view, and it's very handy when you are not in the office and need to actually give someone in the office access to the server. And then actually just removing the account again, it's very straightforward. The next feature we're going to look at is the real-time file watching service. Daminion Server can now reflect for outside file system changes immediately after receiving a signal from Windows about changes in those folders. So that means when new files are added, when they're removed or changed. And what this does by using this service, it dramatically reduces the load on your CPU and hard drive, because the folder structure will not be rescanned repeatedly after each interval of time. You can still use this old way for files and folders that are on remote Linux and MacOS based locations like NAS and SAN devices. But this file watching service works as a separate service that runs even if Daminion Server is stopped. So it means that your catalog will be updated as these changes occur. So let's switch to the Daminion client, and as you can see here, I've set up a watch folder, and you would activate these settings by selecting that option there, which says switch auto rescan on, and then you can configure that on your catalog menu by going to the auto rescan settings. Now, the old way of rescanning folders at an interval would be this option here, but if you want to have real-time updates from your disk, then you would select this option over here. Okay, so let's go to the disk and just copy some files over to this watch folder so we can demonstrate that to you. So on my system here, this would be the watch folder, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to this folder full of images. I'm going to select all of them and then just paste them into the watch folder. Okay, and then as they're copying over, the disk will obviously alert Daminion that there are new files in there, and it'll go in the background through a process of actually scanning those folders and collecting the new files. So let's just give it a few seconds, and then when we load the folder, you'll see wham, all the files are imported. The next feature we're going to look at is called usage purpose tracking. So this gives you the opportunity to track where your assets are used, when and by whom, by entering this information when you export your files. So all the built-in export functions like export to folder, email, print, and PDF options will give you a field where you can enter this information, and it will record the date as well, and you can edit that information later on as well. So what we're going to do here is let's select 3 files that we are going to send to an online writer at publication A. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export them. Let's copy them to a folder, and I'm going to say publication A, and I'm just going to export them to my desktop. Great, so I've got my 3 files exported to my desktop. And now later on, if I want to see where these files were, which files were sent to a specific publisher, then I can use an advanced search to find those files. So Let's use our usage purpose and just search the description field for publication A. Great. So you see there, all that information is recorded. You can also access this usage information by right-clicking, going to actions on a specific file, and then just examining the history from this dialog over there. You can also add new usage information if you want to without it having gone through the export process. Okay, so our fourth feature that I want to highlight is that you can administer your users by giving them access to specific catalogs on your server. So let's have a look at our users. At the moment, I've just got myself in here, but let's quickly add another user, test user again. I'm just going to give it a quick test password. It's an editor. Okay, and I've created the role and the user now. So if I go to my catalogs settings, what you'll notice is that I can assign specific users access to catalogs, and I can also take their access away from certain catalogs. So if I double click and open the catalog, you'll notice that there's an additional users tab now where I can take a user and deny them access to a catalog, or alternatively I can grant them access, which is just a very handy way of compartmentalizing your departmental structures within your organization. Say, for example, you run a separate catalog for your accounts department and a separate catalog for your image library. Then you would be able to restrict access on a catalog level to a certain user account, because previously a user would have access to all the catalogs that are located on a server. But this just gives you an added level of control. There are also many behind the scenes improvements. For example, Dominion now supports many different new file types, and it's also improved the way that it handles certain file types. You can also see on your server panel now, if you go to the catalogs, it'll show you the number of connected users, and it reports on that for you. You can add groups into your saved searches. You can also, we did cover as well the management of your user accounts on the web panel. You can search now for custom tags in your quick search feature as well.